Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is the third episode of our scholarship series, and today we're going to be talking about how you should dress for scholarship interviews, specifically for men or males or guys, whatever you want to call it. As per usual, let's crack on with the caveats. Firstly, I have to clarify that I have a terrible fashion sense, which is why this video is brought to you by Squarespace. I'm joking. No, this video isn't brought to you by Squarespace, neither is it sponsored at all. That'd be cool though if it was sponsored, but no, it isn't sponsored. However, I did ensure that my bad fashion sense didn't get in the way of me making this video by asking ex and current interviewers from scholarship bodies alongside employers about what they thought was the most appropriate and also impressive manner of dressing for candidates applying for scholarships. Secondly, this video applies to all scholarship interviews of all levels, meaning if you were applying for an undergraduate scholarship, postgraduate, PhD, or even if you were applying for a high school that suddenly has an interview for you, everything mentioned in this video will apply to you as well. Also, with the peak of online interviews right now, this video will also address how you should dress for online interviews and also physical interviews, and there is in fact a slight difference between the two, so be sure to watch till the end. Thirdly, this video only applies to guys because I realized that me posting a video about how girls should dress would be a very non-credible source of information, hence why I've decided that I'll get someone much more experienced to talk about it on this channel instead, so stay tuned for that. And the final caveat, a trigger warning, this video will be extremely conservative. As I always say, you have to hope for the best but prepare for the worst, and it applies the same for scholarship interviews, especially for scholarship interviews, because you will never know who will be interviewing you. If it's an old man who expects you to dress very conservatively, then this is the best way to go about things. Funny enough, the first thing I'm going to tell you is how you should keep your hair and facial hair. Right off the bat, let me clarify, this isn't how you should keep it. My facial hair and hair are very messy. However, here are the rules. Firstly, no dyeing your hair funky colors or unnatural colors. In fact, if you can, just avoid dyeing your hair at all. If you really want to dye your hair, then just go ahead and dye it after you get the scholarship. The wait isn't going to be very long. Number 2, no pattern undercuts. Meaning, make sure that you do not get artistic with your undercuts. Make sure that your sides don't have like drawings or your back doesn't have a Batman emblem or whatsoever. Be sure that your hair doesn't have obvious protruding lines that can be seen by other people. In addition to that, make sure that your sides are not so short to the extent that you can see the color of your skin. You have to make sure that your head on top and your head on the sides have the same color. So if you cut your sides very short, then there will be a contrast between the side of your head and also the top of your head, and that will seem very unprofessional. Number 3, if you do have long hair, that's perfectly fine. However, if you are from an Asian region, then make sure that your hair doesn't hang downwards. Instead, if you do have long hair, apply a lot of gel, apply a lot of hair products to make sure that your hair stays in place, and when you move or talk, it shouldn't be bouncing or moving around. If you're from a Western country, then they are much more open to you having long hair hanging downwards, but still you have to keep it very neat. One more very important thing to note is that no matter what, you shouldn't allow your hair to cover even a single bit of your face, whether it's a tiny bit of your forehead or just a tiny bit of your eyebrow. That shouldn't be allowed, because whenever you cover your face, it indicates that you are attempting to hide a little bit of your personality. So be sure to not cover any single part of your face. It's really important. Just a random fun fact, holding spray will do you wonders. Now for short hair, you really don't have to worry much. However, make sure that your sides are clean and make sure that your sides don't have artistic murals or whatsoever. Just keep it clean. Now let's talk about your top. If you're attending an online interview, you have the option to not wear a tie. This is really good news, because what not wearing a tie signifies is firstly confidence. So you are signifying that you are able to not hide behind a tie. However, secondly, it also tones down the conversation a little. It makes it less formal, because not wearing a tie with a blazer would mean that you're leaning towards a more casual side of things rather than a fully formal event. Meaning that the conversations you have with your interviewers can be a little bit down-toned and can be very much more friendly. However, if you feel uncomfortable not wearing a tie, then go ahead and wear a tie. It's always safe to wear a tie. If you are attending a physical interview, however, you don't have the option to not wear a tie. That is very wrong. You must wear a tie if you are attending a scholarship interview, and be sure to pick the right color. A lot of people say that you should wear a red tie because red ties signify confidence. However, I would say stay away from red ties, because sometimes a red tie can signify confidence. However, in the case of a scholarship interview, that might indicate some form of arrogance and ego. So you want to stay away from that personality. Try to be as moderate as possible. Just wear a dark blue tie, for instance, or something with a light color. In fact, You can even just get a tie that you really like, which has a very interesting pattern. However, ensure that that pattern isn't something that is too funky and unprofessional. So if you want to choose out a pattern, firstly, be sure that you are very comfortable with that pattern, and secondly, make sure that that pattern also shows a subtle amount of class, because that is very important to ensure that your aura and your personality is being shown as mature and also formal. For your long sleeve button down shirt, which is the only thing that you can wear directly underneath your blazer if you were to go for a scholarship interview, you have to ensure that you pick the right color. The rule of thumb is to not wear black. Despite it being chic and cool, maybe swag, well, wearing black indicates dullness, and that dullness is one of the biggest things that interviewers don't like, because firstly, you show that you lack charisma, and secondly, you show that you are less approachable as a person, and that is very, very dangerous in a scholarship interview. Instead, resort to white if you really don't know what color to pick, and if you really want to, you can go ahead and wear navy blue, a very safe color. However, you really have to avoid this type of blue. If you were to wear this blue, then you will really seem out of place. I think it's a solid oceanic
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Just tell me what color it actually is in the comments. Now for your blazer, you can only pick dark navy blue, black, or a very dark grey colored blazer, because if you were to choose a light colored blazer, then you would radiate a very informal vibe, and that is very, very bad when it comes to scholarship interviews. Make sure that the color of your shirt suits the blazer, and make sure that the color of your pants are the exact same, even the exact tone as your blazer. Otherwise, it would be a huge crime on your part. Dual tone nonsense like having different colors for your buttons or even having different colors for your pants and your blazer is just you calling to get cancelled, and never ever do that. Speaking of pants, it's really straightforward. The color of your pants has to be the exact same as your blazer, and the cutting of your pants cannot be too tight and it cannot be too baggy as well. Make sure that it's a straight cut and it looks very nicely fit with your leg. Not tight, remember. A big mistake that people tend to make is to put very thick objects into their pants. If you have a thick wallet or even just a thick phone case, then make sure that you don't carry your phone or wallet in your pocket. Put it in a bag or something. Make sure that your pants look nice, straight, and well ironed, because that's a really, really important observation that people have towards how neat of a person you are. And finally, for your pants, keep a handkerchief. It will definitely come in handy in emergency scenarios, but also one of the interviewers quite interestingly pointed out that whenever she sees a person with a handkerchief, she is much more confident that that person is capable of facing problems and is always prepared to face anything that comes to that particular person. And that's a very interesting observation, I guess, from her perspective. The handkerchief very conveniently brings us to our final part of the video: accessories and shoes. The most important accessory of all will be your watch. It is very important that you wear a watch, and in fact it's compulsory for you to wear a watch, if I want to say it that way. The reason why a watch is so important is because it indicates that you are a timely person. However, that doesn't mean that you can wear any watch at all. Firstly, the watch that you wear shouldn't seem very funky and it shouldn't seem childish at the same time. No G-Shocks. In fact, no digital watches at all. You can only wear an analog or a quartz or a chronograph watch, but keep in mind that that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to wear an expensive watch. Any watch will do. In fact, if you were to get a watch from the night market that is analog or quartz, then just go for it, because as long as you're wearing a watch, then that's fine, and as long as it doesn't look unprofessional, then you're very much good to go. If you have a smartwatch, then that's fine as well, because one of the interviewers actually mentioned that whenever he saw someone wearing a smartwatch, he felt as if that person would be more technologically advanced, or at least be keeping up to date with technology. The second most important accessory would be your belt. Be sure to wear a decent belt. Don't wear those Superman belts or those Hugo Boss or Gucci belts that are all bling bling, shine shine. Just make sure that your belts look subtle and professional. There are only 3 colors that can be on your buckle. That would be either brown, silver, or black. You can have all 3 together as long as they don't seem funky and glittery, and in simple terms, unprofessional. The color of your belt itself should be black, nothing else. Whether you're wearing a blue blazer or whatever, just make sure that your belt is black. Remember, no DJ Khaled nonsense, no big time Rush Gustavo nonsense, just a plain, simple belt. And finally, your shoes. It is always safe to wear leather, eco leather, or PVC shoes. Make sure that your shoes have been shined very well, and it should never be dirty. The moment you have dirty shoes, it really gives out a terrible impression towards your interviewer and also employers in general. As for the color of your shoes, try your very best to keep it to black. However, a teeny tiny shift in gradient shouldn't matter that much. And that's about it. It really isn't that complicated, to be as honest as possible. You just have to be a tiny bit more conservative with how you dress. I understand that you most probably won't look your best following these guidelines or rules. However, staying safe is always the best way to go when it comes to scholarship interviews, because you really don't want even the tiniest bad impression to ruin or tarnish or jeopardize your image. Be sure to always follow these guidelines and stay safe, because we really don't need unnecessary bad impressions. If you really want more people to be informed about information such as scholarships or interviews and have that ability to potentially change their lives, then please do hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment about what you want to know next, and I will try my very best to make a new video about it. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao.